Dan here, DD Speed Shop. So we're working on the 57 Chevrolet. Man, today was a rough day. Dentist, never good, and slip fall on the ice. So enter the "why you still live in Canada" comment section. Anyway, we're a little slow moving. Today, this evening, I want to work under the hood of this hot rod. I don't even know where I left it. I think there was a bunch of unfinished things. So in case you're new here, because let's be honest, this thumbnail of this hot rod drew you in, you're like, wow, look at this idiot. I want to do a few things. I kind of want to run no grill whatsoever. I kind of like how it looks, just like a big frog mouth, but we'll see. And figure out some sort of turn signals. I like to put headlights in it, see what that looks like, but that's beside the point. Oh, hang on, it's heavy. There's no hood springs. Under the hood, we have a bone stock 5.3 LS with a tunnel ram and a set of fender well headers. Oh, neighbor's got a squeaky belt. Fender well headers, which I built, modified. They were big block Chevrolet headers, and it kind of made them work. It's a little tight on that side where the collector is, so we got to figure that out. But hey, we're on the lift now, so life will be a lot easier. What I do want to do is figure out this ignition deal. I bought this from a guy on Facebook, so it was closed. But it's LS MSD ignition. So my buddy Newburn ran that on last summer. My buddy Brandon's 57 Chevy with like a kind of identical setup. It was a 5.3, I think it was aluminum 5.3 stock, and it had a tunnel ram deal and all that on it. So we built that car in like 3 days, including putting that in, and then drove it for power tours. So if it worked for that, I'm hoping I can figure something out for this. On the topic of motors, my close personal bully, Morsky Repair, had a bit of a rough time with the motor recently, and I just want to address that real quick. But first, I need to sit down, my back hurts. Oh, maybe I'll just lean over this thing so I feel cool. So Morsky, poor guy, he found this 41 Chev or something like that with a small block Chevrolet in it, 350, I think, and it had a 671 blower on it, and you know, he got a decent deal. We were talking back and forth about it. It came kind of localish to him, and bought it from some old timer, some story about you know front wheels pop go over a Coke can, all that sort of stuff. And you know what? It was from a bunch of old timers that sold this thing. I guess the guy had passed, and it was his buddy selling it. And, you know, someone built the motor and all that. And, you know, I mean, Morsky's an awful guy. And, you know, he really picks on me hard and all that sort of stuff. But nonetheless, I mean, you got to believe in karma. And oh, my back. I try never to sell, well, I don't sell stuff that I know is bad. I will be more than honest. And in fact, I'm so honest, I put it out on the internet for anybody to see, so you know exactly what you get. So it's one of those things where, and every now and again I still get burned, I gotta say, but for the most part I think I come up ahead. So let that be a lesson to you. If you're a poor individual, you know, it's gonna come back to you when you try and buy a blower motor, and maybe that's all his, you know, bad grief and overcharging for storage and stuff like that of a rare Canadian supercar came back to him in the price of a blown up blower motor. The guy, in fairness, he did say it was a blown motor, so, you know, read between the lines, dumbass. Anyway, so now we got that off there, you know, be a good person. We have this 5.3 in here, and it did run poorly in, it was in a 56 Chevy I had purchased, and it was, it ran on like a stock LS computer and all that sort of stuff. Ran bad, had a bad fuel pump, put a fuel pump in, it ran better, but still had some kind of misses and stuff like that. But, you know, it cranked fine, and it has oil pressure, so it's an LS. I'm sure it's fine. And at this point, LS motors are kind of dime a dozen. They're basically disposable. So if we have to change the power plant, so be it. I would like to hear it make a little bit of noise before we get too much further into this. I think the headers are done. Everything is kind of fit. I do have to put the front dress on, so the alternator and whatnot, just so it has a belt to spin. I thought I had a radiator in it, but it is clearly not. So we got to get that taken care of. I don't know if I'm going to run the fan or if we'll knock that off and try and get electric fan on there. Might just do that for an ease standpoint. Tri-5s are kind of tight as it is with the cooling system, but we'll play it by ear. Otherwise, I kind of want to lay in that wiring harness and see exactly how it works. I've never done that before, and I know I'm going to get some hate, but the LS crowd's a weird crowd. Eh? They don't think it should be, you know, carbureted, which is cool, I guess. But the motor, I mean, you can get an LS motor around here. Anyways, I know it's different everywhere we go, but for like $500, you can get kind of a, you know, junkyard LS. And a 5.3, I think they make like 290 horsepower or something like that, bone stock. And we're gonna put a tunnel ram with, you know, 2 carburetors and a free-flowing exhaust and probably a different timing curve in it. I gotta think it's gonna make more than 300 horsepower. Well, it takes a few bucks to make small block Chevy do that. And, you know, that's the way she goes. Anyway, so $500 for that, and I think I think that MSD kit's like $500, $600, $700, something like that. I mean, it's not cheap, but between the two of them, you have that you can get a Chinese Amazon carburetor deal and some whatever you want to do for a carburetor. I mean, I gotta think for under $2,000 you have a bone stock LS running a carburetor. And I don't know about you, around these parts, small block Chevy that's kind of worth anything, you're every bit of $2,000 into it, and you probably make less horsepower. So let's see what happens here. I think I might, what I'm gonna do, I should find that radiator. Not that I need it, but I'd like to find it. Well, I don't have headlight buckets, so I just put the trim ring on. You know, what drives me nuts, headlight buckets, 5, 6, and 7 are all different pain, and I have some miscellaneous. And we can make something work, but whatever. I pulled out this thing. It is frickin' simple. Who'd have thought? Now, I haven't done a whole lot of LS stuff. I've done a few things, a couple of those Terminator X installs. But this is basically turns your you know, fuel injected, fancy dancy, computer controlled LS into an antiquated dinosaur, which is what we want. So it has this main box, and look at this, it has this little thing. Is that focused? Man, you could turn that little knob anywhere you want, so it's custom 1, 2, 3, 4, truck HO, LS 1, 2, 3, and they give you a little screwdriver. You do it yourself. So we'll probably set it to like truck or truck HO, because that's what that motor is. And if you want, they give you a little USB stick, and you can make like a custom tune. But the bone stock motor doesn't need anything fancy. Bone stock tuning. Now, there's 2 connections that come out of this. Unbelievably simple. This main one obviously goes there. It's got ground and switch 12. It wants a 30 amp relay and fuse, simple, which then turns into your left and right bank. So it's going to fire the injectors, each having their own ground. It is really, LS is like these grounds, so it's very important to ground them to the cylinder head. And this is optional, but this is a coolant temp sensor, so it can use a little bit of information. So that's that. The second one, chunk, it'll plug in there. It's got 3 loose wires. What are they? Blue is for launch control, pink is for step retard, and gray is for tachometer, which then gives you this connector. And this connector transfers into one of these, which is actually kind of slick. They give you both. So LS is depending on the year. What is it? They have a 24X or a 58X crank. And which is kind of irrelevant. Doesn't, I mean, to me anyways. Maybe there's some benefit to it. But the difference is where the crank and cam sensor are. I believe one is in the timing cover or something like that. So this one's kind of just, they're short, and this one here, they're a little bit longer. So either one will work, and I think I read that the thing is smart enough to pick and choose. You just hook it up and it will know what's going on. So that's that. The temp is optional. You don't have to run that. It also has a vacuum deal. So if you're going to run a boosted application, it will pull timing. And if you have it standard, like we have, you hook it up to a vacuum source, which we might as well. We have lots of vacuum ports on that intake manifold. As vacuum drops, so in theory, as you're wide open throttle, it can increase timing. And then from there, there's pages here which include charts and computers, and we'll go back to this one. This is where I feel more comfortable. So we'll do that. Pretty daggone simple. I actually thought this could be a little bit more involved, but it sure ain't. And we'll see where it can all mount in here. I gotta be a little bit clever with where things go. We gotta put a battery in this thing and stuff like that. And there's a large hole there, which I have to block off. I don't know if I have any of the heater stuff or if I'm just gonna leave it and run a internal heater deal on this thing. But yeah, there's lots of room and pretty simple. So it should be no big deal. Okay, under the hood here, bunch of wiring. So LS, same as small block Chevy, you know, odd and even cylinders. But it even says on here, passenger and driver for us, you know, challenged folk. So what I'm gonna do, oh wow, how did I possibly get it? Wow, okay. I'm gonna run this through the back of the tunnel ram because we gotta keep it clean looking, you know. That's Chip Foose design here. Well, you know what I should, hang on. Which one's which? This is the passenger. Okay, so I think it'd be kind of cool to run it through the back of the tunnel ram. There's 6 wires here, and I've got them caught on everything. And just have it come out between the runner. If I can. Come on, I'm on TV, let's go. Quit fighting me, there we go. Snap that into place. And then the other one, we can do the same deal on, and then the temp sensor will just run through the front. Okay? Yeah, not bad. Okay, hang on, that's tight. If this tunnel ram was a little taller, I could reach it better. I also have a lot of faith in this 4x4 that I don't knock it over. Well, at least the camera's running. Can I just pull this through? There we go. Now this intake has a pile of vacuum ports in the front, which is kind of neat, and it didn't pull right on with it. Son of a burr. Okay, yep, we got her. Let's go ahead and pull that. And, oh, it's around the transmission dipstick. Kind of surprised to put a dipstick on this thing. So there we have it. I'll get this side right quick. And if you guys are new to these LS deals, all the coils individual, you know, kind of not coil on plug, but coil wire in. So it's very simple. And there's one main connector, which I will just steal. And the best thing about this, well, I guess you can wire it 180 out, but you follow the simple directions, it'll be perfect. Okay, so that's that. And then this here can go right around, and there's a temp sensor right there in the cylinder head. Look at that. So we can kind of tuck this back a little. That'll be like that. We have our connector, we have our ground wire. In the past, still the camera fell. In the past, I've put these on the back of the cylinder head, which is fine. It's aesthetically pleasing. Getting a bolt in and out the back of the cylinder head sucks. So I put it on the front now. And then over here, we have our little magic connector. So we'll probably run that. I think I might as well run everything on the inside. Put the MSD box on the firewall or something like that, build a little plate. This thing here had a fancy 57 Chevy Deluxe heater. So this had like a valve which would shut the valve off, so in the summertime it wouldn't have any coolant running through the heater core. But we have that deleted, so we'll be using that as a pass-through. Okay, I'll get the cam sensor hooked up right quick, see what one we need, and we'll be back momentarily. Okay, so both wires are done. Literally, we hooked this into that magic box, put power and ground to it, and this thing, in theory, should run. Obviously, you gotta have a starter to crank it over and stuff. This motor I had stripped apart for some reason, so I gotta find a starter. I did find this piece, so this little mount These 3 bolts, I believe, go on the cylinder head, and power steering's on the bottom, and the alternator fits on top. So we're gonna strip the battery cable stuff out. I might even just cut this off, just so I have that one bit. I forget what I've done in the past. Maybe I'll leave that on. As I recall, I'll have to look at my black car. By removing the power, so this one here, the power steering has been looped and just a regular belt was on it, which is fine. It looks a little hokey for my, I mean, come on, you can't have crap like that. Anyways, so I haven't used that, but I think I'm gonna use one of the bolts there and put an idler on there, because if you don't, it ends up like you old school guys, you know, like the old 327s with the alternator on the driver's side. So you have your crank water pump alternator up here, and you have this long whip. And I have done it many times at like 6,000 RPM or whatever the limiter set. It will buck the belt off. So if you put a little idler there, it just gives that a little more so it doesn't have that whipping motion. So I'll take this apart, see what it looks like, and start mounting that together. My other Achilles heel, Metric Hardware, which I don't own any of. So we have to make a list of all the hardware we gotta buy tomorrow. But I'm starting to stiffen up. It's time for a dinner break. I'll come back out later tonight, I'm thinking, or tomorrow. I mean, we'll see how it goes. I'll see you in a bit. A new day, a combination of meatballs and a slip and fall. Didn't have me motivated to be back out here. But today after work, I picked up a bunch of miscellaneous Metric hardware. So we should have everything needed. Set of spark plugs. I had an old set of plug wires. This must have been spares. Starter, look how good that thing looks. I had the big tires I bought mounted on a set of rallies. I cannot describe how much I hate rally wheels on a Tri-5 Chevrolet. Well, I hate the caps. Caps and trim rings look atrocious, but I'm hoping this will be kind of a similar look to what we have. And these are actually really nice wheels. Like, I couldn't say no to them. They were a deal. I believe they're the same backspace as those. I hope these are the exact same tires. Mickey Thompson deals, not cheap, $377 a tire. Yikes. Now, a lot of people are saying, leave these wheels on this car. I could not agree more. Daisies, the best wheel ever created. And I have them on a bunch of stuff. However, so everyone's like, oh, put a set of the same wheels on the back and the front. If you got them, Dan at dvspeedshop.ca, if you're local or local-ish and you got daisies for sale, you hit me up, because I see them, I buy them. Rule of thumb. However, I don't have a front set, A. B, these are actually the wheels and tires off my 55 Chevy Nomad. You know, small block with a blower on it, 5-speed deal, and I love that car. Probably my favorite car. And I borrowed them. Well, I took them off, so I wasn't going to store them in cold storage. So I just put like some truck tires on it. And these are going to go back on there, hopefully sooner rather than later. You know, even though it's snowing today, we're within a month, I'm hoping of bringing that out, because that'll be one of the first cars on the road for a hot rod that I'm not currently race driving. So yeah, there you go. I'd answer all the questions. I'm going to start taking this apart. We'll start, I think I'm going to take the fan off, just start doing little odds and ends. We'll put on the bracketry, we'll put the grounds in, get everything all together. I'm thinking maybe we'll put spark plugs in. If we can just hot wire the starter and that MSD box, maybe spray a little, I think I have some, a little brake clean down its throat, fire it up, even the carburetors aren't hooked up or nothing, just see if it goes bum, 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 makes a little bit of noise. The headers need work, but I think that'll be next video. So let's get after this, see where we end up.
I went down to the sea.
Okay, so here's the ugliness. I realize they sell all sorts of kits to lower all these things and do all that, but you know what that costs is money. So this is what we're gonna do. It's a little jank, but the belt should go, I think it goes crank, water pump, tensioner, then back under, up over, but then here to the crank is that long bit. So I think one of these, I'd just jam a tensor in, or an idler, so it kind of has to run on it, and that just gives it all sorts of anti-whipping motion. We got that. I ran just a couple of the wires there for the MSD deal. It's grounded. We put spark plugs in it, the wires. We're gonna have to get boots for all of them with the headers, or make some custom wires. But these are stock stuff. I put a new set of plugs in it. So that's that. I got it kind of, you know, half up in the off the ground. We're gonna do a quick oil change. I got some leftover junk 1540 and some Lucas, so we'll do that. While it's up in the air, we're gonna put the starter in, and we should be able to just do trick this thing into running. We're not gonna have a fuel pump, but there's gonna be a purple wire in here, which will trigger the solenoid. This is the main power wire. So if we just run that to the battery, ground the battery to the chassis or the motor somehow, we should be fine. And then we'll just run that MSD box right here. Well, I guess the box is over there, but these two wires here, power and ground, that'll trick it into thinking it's on. Then we should be able to bump it with the remote deal, spray a little brake clean down its throat, and see if it will just kind of bark. I didn't put gaskets or bolts in the header, so it's going to sound like a tractor. If it even runs, it might just go burble burble, which is fine. That means we know it's working. Because the other header, well, both headers might have to come off and be modified with a little bit of pipe to kind of fit out the side. So I want to get up and look at it. That'll be the next video's problem. We can do that, you know, do the fuel line, wire all that crap up, and have it run. Now we're going to try and put these tires on. Looking at them, these might have a different offset. So we'll see how that works. Because if it launches the tire outwards, these will not work. But, such is life. Set of rally wheels. I'll use them somewhere, somehow. I'll get the oil change done, starter in, I'll be back right quick. Okay, so I did a little bit of running around, but I put the different wheels in the back. They're not, I mean, they're whatever. They're what they are. The spacing is wrong. It's the exact same tire, but it looks smaller because it's sucked in. Are you showing them the ugly tire? Some people don't mind it, maybe, I don't know. It's a rally wheel. I can always paint it black. I actually don't mind the silver. It kind of gives the impression. So if I get longer wheel studs and I space it out a ½ inch, it should look similar. Or try and find another set of daisy wheels, because that's what I really want. Nah. You can't have it all. It doesn't look bad. It just doesn't look as cool. I will say though, it's sucked in a little, which is nicer. Those ones were, I would be pretty close on the outside. So these are in a little bit. Oh, look at all that metal I didn't get out of there. So it's better. What else did I do? Oil change. We just put a bunch of miscellaneous diesel oil in it, and I had some Lucas left over, so we tossed that in there. Let me just get my light off the storage floor. But it even works. Gentle. So starter's in, it rolls over. I tested that. Everything's hooked up. I got a pair of vice grips crimping the oil pressure unit. So that's cool. So here's what I did. The two wires, the main wire from the starter and the trigger, we ran those out, and I just have my battery booster pack there. We have the Murromatic all set up, and the MSD box is just sitting over here. So it's all there. The carburetors are, I mean, they're not even secured down. So we're just gonna go ahead and spray a little brake clean in there and see if that'll make it fire up. There's oil in it. The exhaust will be loud. There's no mufflers. There's no gaskets. Transmission's not hooked up, so we're all good on that. It's just kind of freewheel in there. So it might make a little bit of noise up against the converter, but hey, that's fine. What else did I do? I think that's about it. Oh, I picked up a few things. We might as well go over that. I got exhaust stuff. Next video is going to be exhaust. But oh, this is what I'm talking about. So a little pulley here. So you just get like a universal pulley. This is Dorman, so you know it's top notch. It's got a little spacer, so we'll put a little bolt in there. And we should be able to kind of mount it, probably something like that. And then that'll hold the belt as it comes around, and let's give it a little bit of tension. So that's mint. 20 bucks well spent. I think that's it. So we can probably go ahead and try to fire this thing up. We should probably take the microphone off because open headers blow this thing out like there's no tomorrow. So we'll get set up. We'll be right back. Okay. I'll use my Danielle tone so everyone can hear me.
Project from your diaphragm.
Come around here, shorty. So I think everything's still hooked up. We have it grounded to the header, so it's nothing is ideal here. It will be wrong. But so we're using the Murotronic here. Wiring. This is some good wiring. So what it is, it's hooked up right now, so we should be able to hit the one button, it should bump over. So that's good. And if we hit the toggle switch, it will give 12 volts to this wire, which will turn on the MSD box. So this is the beauty of this whole thing, I'm hoping, is that literally it was, each bank had a connection, 2 grounds. I don't have the water hooked up, and it has crank and camshaft. So it should know just by, I don't know, a revolution or less. In theory, it should do something. Now this thing, I don't know, it had some vacuum leaks on it at some point. I know there were some missing plugs, so it might idle fast, it might idle slow, it might not idle at all. But we'll see. Do you want some muffs there, Muffin? Or are you going to be okay with the noise? Because it's going to be loud. Actually, you know, I want to protect myself too if I have some.
I have to put the people down.
No, don't put them down.
But I need 2 hands.
I don't know where my muffs are. I'll just go dapper. It's only open exhaust. How bad can it be? Okay. Ready? Man, so it runs.
Should we maybe open a door?
Isn't that door open?
No, that is closed.
We're just inhaling bird breathing. Good for you.
Look at all the snow.
Oh, it's baloney out there right now.
Ugh, the smell.
Yeah. Mint.
Is there supposed to be flames that come out of the exhaust?
Yeah, that's horsepower.
Oh, okay.
Well, there's no exhaust on it is the main problemo. Go ahead and save some heat here. So there you go, she runs. That was like uber easy.
Anticlimactic.
You know what? I gotta say, LS motors, they are very anti-climactic.
Is that what this is?
An LS motor?
Yeah.
Yes.
I haven't been watching the videos.
Yeah, there's a few people out there not watching. But yeah, so there we have it. I mean, that was pretty simple. I gotta say, this thing it's kind of soulless. I mean, it's just a little LS deal, but that's a super easy setup for whatever. I think I got it used. I think I paid $400 or $500 for it, but I think there's 700 maybe new. And I mean, it's literally 2 connections, crank cam, and it just friggin' works. So if you ever want to do a carbureted deal, I kind of think if I ever see those come up again, I'll buy it and just toss it on the shelf. I get it, the LS thing's a whole big fad. You know, it's going to catch on one of these days, these LS swaps, but it's the fuel system I hate. I'm not a big fan of electric fuel pumps, and this is going to have one on it anyways, but the whole, you know, high pressure deal, running it all back and everything, it's to each their own. I think this looks kind of cool now with the fender wells, the dual quads. We're going to change those carburetors up. Hopefully those FSTs show up shortly. I think the next step on the next video, we're going to do exhaust on it, because I have some miscellaneous leftover stuff. And I bought a U-bend today. We'll get exhaust runs, so we threw some mufflers. If we get a cooling system on it, I mean, the water pump and all that's there, whether it has a fan or not, just a radiator, so there's water in the block. You should be able to like idle it around, and then measure for a drive shaft, which we may have a couple of spares around here, because that 56 came to the drive shaft. I don't know if the rear end would fit. And kind of go from there. But as always, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoy this hot rod. I'm iffy on the wheels. I gotta say, the front wheels are winners. I read the comments. Everyone loved the front wheels. Back wheels, I'm sure some of you old school guys will be like, rallies, we love those. They were the hot setup when we were in high school, but they're not daisies. A little bit more trim coming, we'll go from there. So yeah, feel free to leave your comments below. I read every one and take every one of them to heart. I'll see you on the next video.